Hello there and welcome to my workshop. Today we're going to take this piece of oak and we're going to set it on my 6012 CNC router and we're going to carve a 3D lion. Then I can laminate it to this beautiful piece of pine planking, which is incidentally all this wood is grown in Tasmania. So what we're going to end up with is a three-dimensional carving like this eagle you see here. And there's a video of that as well. Now to do this process I've split the video up into two parts because a lot of you I see are not particularly interested or not particularly like seeing the CAD CAM process. So and in this case I'm going to be using a Vectric Aspire. So I've split it up into two halves. So the first part of this pair of videos will be the whole process in Vectric Aspire, and the second then will be the machining of this piece, the setting up and the whole machining on the CNC router to the finished product. So I hope you enjoy these two videos. Okay, so after that introduction to this two-part video, we've just opened up Aspire 9 and we're going to start our job. Just letting you know that the machining of this piece, which is coming next, will probably just be the machining because it's winter here and it's started to rain really hard, and being a metal workshop, you wouldn't be able to hear what I was saying. So sorry about that, but weather conditions, that's the way we got to do things. So to start a job, create a new file. Now the material that we have laminated, that piece of oak, is let me see, in the X it's going to be, I'm going to say 340, although the actual material is 335. I just want to go just past it, so it's 340 millimeters in the X, and in the Y the actual measurement is 185, but I'm going to put 190, and the depth, or the in Z height, then it's 42 millimeters, and of course we're working in millimeters. Z position, top of the material, that's exactly where we want it. I always work at the top of the material. Now start position, I'm going to put it in the center of the material because I have sort of added material on here, and it makes it difficult if I sort of zero the machine just slightly off here. It does make it awkward sometimes, if you're in mid-air. So it's easy for me to zero the position in the center of the material, because all I really need to do is get a ruler and draw a line from this corner to that corner and corner to corner, and it'll cross in the middle, and I can set my tool right there in the center. It's very easy to do. Now I always leave this as a standard resolution. This represents 1,000,000 points per square inch, so I think that's quite enough. There's no need to go higher resolution than that. Material. Now we're actually using dark oak. Dark oak. So that'll be fine. So, you know, when this comes out as a 3D object and we machine it, that is the color that it's going to be. So really we have set up our material now in Aspire, so we can OK that and go to the next window. Now if I was going to draw, I could use these tools here and draw any shape that I really wanted to, and even, you know, sort of make 3D objects. Now in the future we will be looking at all these different tools and manipulating tools, and we will be doing just that, making three-dimensional objects. But in Aspire there are over 600 clip arts of 2D and 3D objects, and here they are. Incidentally, Aspire is probably the most powerful and the best priced art, CNC routing, milling software on the market today. So you won't go far wrong if you are in the market to purchase a software. This is probably the one to go for, especially if you're a serious hobbyist or even a manufacturer. So I'm going to scroll down and just show you the types of 3D objects that is in Aspire. Now what I'm looking for is a lion. I could simply go to animals up here and pull it up, but I just want to scroll through and just show you some of the things in here that you know, is available for you, even down to textures, of which these are, that you can make up your own 3D pictures. In Aspire they've actually made 3D pictures for you, made the job easier. So if you wanted I think that's a flamingo, is it? Heron. Well, it could be a flamingo too. And you know, they've already put it in a dish for you, or they've put it into like a cut down area that will produce this 3D object already into a material with a rough edge, which is quite presentable, quite nice. And you can see all the different types of three-dimensional art that there are. Horses, there's some beautiful horses and stags and deer and this, but we're looking for a particular lion. This is a lion here, a type of lion that you'd find on a fairground ride, and this is like a fairground ride horse here as well. But I'm looking for the type of lion that you could make into a bookend, or, you know, sort of standalone piece on a mantelpiece or something like that. So we'll quickly scroll through these. And here's the deers, and deer in a forest. And we will do some of these in the future, and I'll show you how easy it is to operate and produce, you know, really nice projects and artwork. Like I say, there's over 600. Here he is here. And there again you have a choice of either a freestanding model, a model in a dish, or a model in a recess. So we're going to take this particular one here. We're just going to drag and drop it right in the center of our material. And then we're going to very simply enlarge it. So we're just going to catch out of one of the corners here and pull him up. I want to make him as large as possible in this piece of material. Some of you may have seen me do this process with an eagle in a different program. These programs are all very similar, so we could go a little bigger, not too much. And I want this, the way I'm making this model is I'm having the lion is going to be entirely in the oak, and it's going to have a pine, very light Tasmanian pine. And incidentally, all the woods that I'm using are locally grown in Tasmania. So we're going to have an oak lion on a pine background, which I think is going to be a very nice contrast. Well, I'm happy with that. Look at the 3D of this now. I'm very happy with that. So now we can come out of that and go to the modeling window. Keep the lion selected, because the next thing that we want to do now is make him a little deeper, because I'm not sure how deep he is. We'll have a look. Not very deep at all. It still would be quite a presentable image, but I want him to stand right out. Okay, so we're going to use a very powerful tool which resets the size or the depth in Z. Very simply done. Now you can either use this slider bar to slide. Let's try around about roughly 200%. We'll have a look at that. I've brought it up quite a bit, but and you can see here the actual measurement is 24, nearly 25 millimeters, which is an inch, pretty well. I'll go a little bit more than that. 38. Let's have a look what 38 millimeters looks like. And that's the thing with this particular program. You can, that's very nice. Look at that. And you can see that when you increase the Z height, all the muscle tone of the lion and the mane and the hair all stand out a lot better. And we can go a little bit more. 42 is absolute. 40 and a half. I think that's going to probably be about it, but well, we might be able to come to 41 and a half. You know, I think that'll be it. I'm going to allow myself 0.5 millimeter of excess material on the top, but I can machine very slightly down into the pine as well. So that's probably going to be our maximum. Let's just have a little look. What I'm looking for is to see if I've distorted the image at all. And it looks to be quite presentable. It looks to be very, very nice. In actual fact, what you could do with this, if you wanted to, and we will one day do this process, is machine this side and then turn our material completely round and machine the other side, put a mirror image, and we will end up with an entire lion. But that will be for another day. we'll learn to do just this type of 3D machining first. So we're going to say OK to that. And there it is. So we've now finished the manipulation with this line. We're happy now with this three-dimensional model. So now we go on to the machining, and that is very simply done. There's a little arrow, little box up here, and this will take us into the machining window. Okay, so here we are in the machine area or machine window, which gives us all the different types of strategies for machining this part. You can see here there's two-dimensional or 2.5D machining, which is like a pocket machining and what have you, lettering. So the machining strategies that we require is 3D. So there's one here and one here. So we want to start off with this one, which is a roughing process. So we're going to click on this one, and the dialog box here is very similar to the startup dialog, where it asks you very similar questions. Now this is the material thickness, which is the same. Center of the material, you want to start in the center there, which is fine. Top of the material. Start Z is the top surface of the material. Now we don't want any gap at all. We're going to leave this as it is. But what we're going to say here, 5mm, that's okay. So the clearance is going to be 5mm, and yep, that's all fine. We can leave this as it is. Home position 0, 0. In other words, it's going to be in the center of the material. The home position is going to be in the center of the material there, which is exactly what we want. And we're going to set this at 10mm. Just press enter then. So we're going to go now into the actual machining part of this. Now we are going to select a different tool. In actual fact, the tool that I have is a 13mm. So what we're going to do is we're going to make a tool in the tooling list, because the 13mm just isn't here, and we're going to call it an end mill, although it is a straight shanked 2-flute router cutter. So we're going to choose this one, and then we are going to come here and we're going to say we want to copy this one, and we're going to select this one here, which is automatically selected. Then we're going to make some alterations here. We'll say this one's a 13mm. I don't think, no, the tool that it actually isn't in here, so we're going to leave it as an end mill, which is fine. Now the geometry of the end mill, diameter is 13mm, which is just slightly over ½ inch. ½ inch is 12.7mm, just to give you a comparison. Now this is the rough parameters of the cutting for this particular tool. So what I like to do is use 3mm as a cutting depth. We can alter this in the program after we've selected this tool if we wish. Step over 5.2. I normally like to do let me see, 4mm in this particular case for this particular tool. That's fine. Speed 12,000. Well, there again, we can alter this in Mark III if we want, but I'm going to say 15,000 RPM, because what I normally do, I run my machine quite fast, and if you speed up the actual speed at which you're moving across the material, you must speed the RPM up. Feed rate 40, I go 50, and there again, when you're in Mark III, you can alter this feed rate to suit, you know, the type of cut or how the cut is actually cut in. Plunge rate 15 millimeters, a little bit further than that, I go 25, which is approximately 1 inch a second. Leave it as tool number 1, and we're going to apply that, and it changes now in the tooling list. And now we say OK, and we've chosen that tool. Up here you'll notice that it has changed as well. And now we can go in there and edit that if we wish, and if we want to edit any of these parameters, we can at this stage, but I'm happy with those. Machining allowance 1 millimeter, that's fine. In other words, after machining over this entire model, it's going to leave a minimum of 1 millimeter of material left for the finishing tool. Roughing strategy, raster in X, that means it's going to go back and forth in the X, which is fine. In actual fact, what I'm going to do to make sure that we encompass all of this material, I'm going to do a little trick here. Now I am going to go back to the 2D, and I'm going to come out of this, and I'm going to go to the drawing layer, and I'm going to draw a square on the outside of this model. We don't need to be totally exact with this, but I just want to draw that square and apply. Create that. Now choose the selection tool, select that. Now we're going to go to our toolpaths, and we want to say model boundary, because what we have just done is we've made a boundary layer there. So I don't want the tool to go outside of that. In other words, I want to encompass all of this material here. Don't forget, this is going to be 42 millimeter in height, and I want to get rid of all the material. I don't want a little bit left here. So we're going to say model boundary, and then this is all okay. Ramp moves, yes, definitely. Distance, I'm going to say 5 millimeters. Safe Z, height, home position, we've already set that. There's no need to actually add to that. I am quite happy with this. Calculate. I've just run a preview of the toolpath, and I can see that I have a setting wrong because it's machined the lion part, but it's left an awful lot of the material behind. So we're going to go back in now and reset this up. Go close. Back into the roughing strategy. Um, 2D, that's already highlighted. Selected vectors, that's what we should have had. So calculate, that's better. So you can see now it has removed all the excess material now. A lot more toolpaths, so we will run that one and we will see that we will remove all of the excess material now. So to machine this on the machine, it's probably going to take probably 30, maybe 35 minutes to do the rough machining of this. Okay, so it's completed the roughing. So this roughing here, we're going to need to delete, because we don't want to get confused with this. Delete this, so we're left with this one. And just to make sure that we have the right one, let's calculate that again. Yeah, that is the correct one. Actually, we can change the material here too, because we have dark oak. Okay, so I skipped the process, and that's what we're going to end up with, and it's going to look exactly like that when we machined it on the machine. So now we can close this, and now we require to do the 3D finishing toolpath. Okay, so we're going to select the tool. Now what I'm actually going to do is I have actually created this and just named it as a to represent a tapered ball mill, but I have actually found in the listing that there is tapered ball mills in there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to copy this one, and then I'm going to edit this one to read tapered ball mill. Now diameter, geometry diameter, here we go. It is 6 millimeters in the shank up here. The tip radius is 1 millimeter. Now the angle, not quite sure of the angle, but it's a very, very steep angle. So I think it's around 2 degrees. 15,000. Oh, that needs to be about 20,000. Step over. Now this does not represent the type of step over that we require. So we're going to alter this right now. So it's going to be 0.125. And I'll put this one the same. And that can be 50, that can be, that's okay. This is now going to be tool number 2. Now this only really comes in when you put all the codes in together into Mark III, and you want to write into the G code that you want to stop the machine and change the tool. Or if you have an automatic tool changer, this will be recognized by the tool changer. So we're going to say apply. There, we're going to OK. We're going to edit that. I'm quite happy with that. So with this type of step over and these feed rates, this is going to take about 2 hours to machine the whole thing. Approximately 2 hours. But we're okay with that. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to get it to machine the whole thing, not just the lion himself, but this area as well, just to give it a nice finish. Okay, so now we're going to preview all our tool paths together. There's our lion, and it's going to look exactly like that. So we can close that now. So our next job now is to save that toolpath in a language which our machine is going to understand. So now we have to describe the language which we want to save this toolpath in. All these are variations of G-code for particular machines. So what we're looking for is G-code, and we're looking for standard G-code millimeter tap. All machines understand that language. So we're going to save that toolpath, and we're going to save that to, let me see, we're going to save that to our desktop, which is a very busy desktop. So we're going to save it in our Aspire folder, which is a fairly new folder because I've just started working with Aspire and it's a wonderful program. We're going to save that one. So then we're going to select this one. So we're going to save this selected toolpath now, which is the finishing toolpath. It will hold that G-code type that I've selected, and we don't want to output directly to the machine. We're going to save this directly to our folder on our desktop, and I'm not saving these in a particular label because I'm going to put it onto a flash drive and take it straight to the machine. So, and that's done. So the next job now is to set the machine up and we'll machine this. I hope you've enjoyed this tutorial video for Aspire 9. Vectric has many different types of machining programs, ranging from 3D cut or 2D carve to VCarve Pro and so on. There's 6 to 7 different programs at different price layers. This is the top of the range of the programs, which is more of a real serious hobbyist program, or you know, an industrial program. So there are lesser levels that will do what I have just done in this. So thank you for joining me for this tutorial video, and I hope you come along to the next video, which will be the machining of this lion on my 6012 CNC router. So please like and subscribe, and I'll see you on the next video. Bye for now.